and people who are living in the United States, they are feeling completely away from the conflict. They feel that they are going to the Halloween, they are having their vacations, they are enjoying the time, they think they are completely safe. And I would like to give a message. The history is the biggest teacher. I will always stress on this through all my talk, that the history is the biggest teacher. If you go back to the conflict 5 years back and 10 years back, when you were fighting against ISIS, when America was intruding in lots of places across the globe as the policeman of the world and taking that role. In the time when I was kid, the American used to be the fruits of the world. When they traveled to any place, people always, when they know that this is an American tourist, they start to talk with him like, we like the Hollywood movies, we're always watching your movies, we love you. And they were thinking that the Americans are the kind people of the world. They are the people who gave them intellectual things, education, freedom. They are thinking about America is the land of freedom. And when someone comes to America, that's the end, like that's the ultimate goal of his life, because he will experience freedom in the maximum way that anyone in this world can have. And then after that, America started to have a rule, which is the policeman of the world. And that, in like unintentionally, I don't know, when they started to have that role, there was a fire back. When the United States intruded in many countries, no American was being safe across the globe. So the conflict which is happening now, you should be equal and you should be on the both sides. Because 5 days before, we were looking to what Hamas is doing as a barbaric actions. But guess what? What we have seen today is the real morals of Muslims. It came out now. When a hostage, an Israeli hostage, there was now today in Al Jazeera, she was talking about how neat and nice and morally she was treated by Hamas troops. And the way that she was treated, she was experiencing like the private doctor who was always sitting with her, taking care of her. That's a huge issue. That's a huge difference. Because the media in Israel, she was in the last 5 days, she was transferring to the whole world that people are treated in a barbaric way. And of course, as an Islamic person or people who understand the real essence of Islam, we understand a lot how to treat Muslims and how to treat any religion hostage or anyone that we are ever fighting with in a real and neat manner. That makes a difference in our life because that is our religion. And you know what? Religion in these kind of things is never solved a conflict. Like, go back to the history, although in this time, which should the good Jews who believes real in God, the real believers and the real Muslims, they should stand together because it's at the end one thing, which is the morals and ethics. We could not find a way to solve that conflict. Many Americans of my friends, they were thinking, and I was talking with them about, if you think that President Trump is right now, is taking the rule or the lead, would he finish that? Although we have been brought up on the love of Democratic Party and we love democracy a lot and we have been so attached to President Obama, but believe it or not, Trump was the guy who could stop these kind of conflicts very early. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. 2 years from now, you would never believe that. 2 years from now, you would find businessmen from Gaza and businessmen from Israel. They are masked. They come to do a company across or outside that region. And they are partners in that. And they will come to rebuild Gaza. After 2 years, they will bomb Gaza again. Do you believe that? Do you believe that lunatic action was going on? That's a business. It's just a business. I hope that this could reach to anyone who has simple logic. Many companies that they bomb, many people was bombing Gaza now. Businessmen will come together again and then will at the end rebuild Gaza and take millions at the end. Teacher is the best, like history is the best teacher. Again, if you look back to our conflict with Israel years back in 1973, I'll talk to a guy who is just because and then I'm gonna talk to you in Arabic. هكلمك بالعربي بعد كده. Because you are just like trying to talk to the Middle Easterns by their language, and we have to respond to you. Really. You are telling people that you did not bomb the Catholic hospital, Al-Ma'medani, Mustashfa Al-Ma'medani. You didn't bomb that, and that was mistake by Hamas. And you find the president of the United States is saying, yeah, from our intelligence, we know that this kind of bombs came from Hamas. Okay, I will believe you. I'll believe you. But you are trying to talk to the humanity or to the whole people across the globe that Israel would never bomb a hospital. But you bombed a school before in Egypt. If you remember, one day you bombed Bahr al-Ba'r school. Did you remember that? Did you remember that you bombed a school in Egypt? Do you remember that? That's a barbaric action. And that was not the moral way to play it. You have the best intelligence in the whole world. You have the best weapons, best jets, everything. You are the one who should be controlling yourself to the maximum. Imagine like you are having a fight with a guy who's just like a Mr. Olympia and a 5-year-old kid. Imagine if the kid stabbed that Mr. Olympia, he would not retaliate by this excessive use of power. You are excessively powering, but like all the time you are bombing. Like, for example, if you get back to your fight with Lebanon, it was just like small bombs from Hezbollah, and then you destroyed whole Lebanon. And Lebanon is paying that a lot until now. Lebanon is still struggling to build the country again just because of you destroyed everything in Lebanon one day. So I think I'm talking to President Biden and the American leaders at that time. You have to be on a one, like in equal distance from both parties. You should sit on the table with Iran, because I know any simple Israeli that I know, or any Jew or any Palestinian who is living in the United States, they are not thinking to come back to this region. So I don't know, what do you really want? You really want this region to be the master scene or the theater of wars in the coming years? You love that? Don't you get back to the history? Every 5 years, every 3 years now, there is some bombs coming from Hezbollah and from Hamas and different areas. Just in 2 days, Gaza is completely destroyed, and then every now and then it's ongoing. The conflict is eternal, it's ongoing. Just that we sometimes forget about it, and then we come back to that. It's still going, it's never ended. Can you please sit on a table and see what are the cornerstone, or what are the people who are playing, or the agents or the real players in the Middle East or the region? Who is making benefit of that war? Could you take why not to talk with Iran? Trump was the only one who was talking with the Iranian. I think so. Like, they hate him, but he could make deals with them. We have to know what exactly Hamas want. Because Hamas should come up, the leaders of Hamas should come up and say what we really want. Because if you are not saying what you want, we know that there is someone behind your back who's telling you, wait, now we are in the phase of cracking bones of each other. I know that any logistic Israeli people or person, he's thinking now, we will not sit on a table unless we finish all the targets that we want. We have to finish all the targets. We have to kick Hamas hardly this time, making sure that we are not going back after 10 years at least, that they would think to do that. But believe it or not, that's not the peace that you want to live in. Because you know, one day that a rocket from Hamas would kill one of your children. I am so against that. I am so against that. And on the other hand, all the people in Gaza, they know that they are on, like, in any time they could be in a coffin. That's not the right way to live. That should end. That should have, like, we have to come to a solution to end that. We have to sit with Iran to say, what do you really want? What do you really want? Exactly. Because look at the Saudis and Emiratis now. The Saudis and Emiratis now, they think that this conflict is purely Shia and Sunni conflict. Believe it or not, all the Saudis now, they do not want to condemn anything or to take any action in that because they were burned by these troops before in different parts because it's a Shia Sunni conflict. So why not Saudis, Iranis, Israelis, Egyptians, all, because look at us at the Egyptians. Since we were kids, we were growing up watching this conflict every now and then. We're looking down, we see Sudan is completely destroyed. Libya completely destroyed. On the right, what do you want? Is this a plan that you could get Egypt, you could get Egypt into that? Believe it or not, Egypt, if they got into this war, it's going to be the end war. This is gonna be the war that will kill everyone in the universe. Imagine 120 million people into war. Imagine that the Egyptian, which is a cosmopolitan country, Egypt is taking all the people from all across the globe into Egypt. Like we have people from Sudan, from Yemen, from Syria. And guess what? We don't have a problem to have people from Gaza in our land because they are our brothers. We don't have a problem. But what is the benefit you're going to get to Egypt? Because we will never accept that they take a land and you talk about this land as if it is the new land of the Palestinians. No, that's not what the Palestinians want, and that's not what the Egyptians want. Believe it or not, we can take them all, but you have to pay. You have to pay really well. You have to pay for each one of them to have a nice house, but he will not be a citizen. We are always welcoming our brothers who are coming from all across the Middle East because the Middle East now is become chaos. Believe it or not. But we could sit on a table and try to help by way or another, but you don't want our help in war. Because as I told you, I've reminded you, this is the end war. This is the last thing that you you want to have. So I think it's a time which needs real leaders before the situation escalate more. And then would be Russia into the plan and others into the plan and then Ukraine into the plan and Turkey would go on the line. So it needs a real leader who is having tools to press on each country to finish this chaos, which is at the end will attack the whole economy. Like if you are American and you think that this is safe to play that role, I do not think so. If you're Israeli and you are thinking that could be the right solution, like let's crack each other bone and see who at the end will have the most pain and will surrender, that's not right. I know very well that Israel will not sit on the table unless it finishes what she wants to really finish and destroy and to get the maximum that she can do. And I don't know why, for the God's sake, who gave her the chance to do this. That's what from the beginning, I was so sad. The people give her the chance to destroy all the infrastructure and everything. I'm dying when I'm seeing kids. The guy who was watching his kid, just like in what I can say, like completely. It's a completely destroyed family. It's a completely destroyed family when you see your kid, it's just in a coffin. That's the thing that no one would love to see. And on the other hand, I am with the Israelis who are seeing their families are apart and destroyed and hostages. Someone in this world should have a rule, and this one will be written in the history. This one deserves Nobel Prize, like President Sadat has got before. One day they said about they still saying about President Sadat, our Egyptian, our brothers, our Arab brothers, still until this moment they think about the Sadat is a betrayer. although he is the one who fought with dignity, and we gave the land, and he got back the land in peace. So back to the point, let's sit together on one table and see who wants, like, what do you really want, and finish it. That's my message to the real leaders, to the real lovers, without any advantages. Like, we have to sit without a pre-agenda, because many people are now, they are just like, would like to be stars, they would like to have some reach. They are not saying the right things of humanity and the morals. They are just wanting a benefit. I hope this message could reach everyone who is having a brain and who is a human in the whole world. I'll switch to Arabic. So if anything from any fellows across the globe, just write down or just put your comment and I will try to comment back. السيدات والسادة، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من الغباء ان احنا نقعد نكلم نفسنا في اوقات كل الناس فيها بتكلم يعني مفروض تتكلم عالميا يعني. وبصراحة احنا عاملين زي اللي عمالين بيتكلموا مع نفسهم وعمالين بيشتموا في نفسهم من غير ما يوصلوا رأيهم للعالم. انا بس عايز اسأل دلوقتي، هل الصوت مسموع بالعربية ولا لا؟ هقول لك، هجاوب عليك بعد كل اللي اتعمل، يقعدوا على نفس